Hello, Urban Rivals fans, to the 14th edition of UR Talk, where I'll be discussing with Slify
Hi.
all the brand new cards, as well as the cards that we didn't review from 2 weeks ago, all because Pamela was being annoying, and yeah, I just lost all the footage. Well, not really footage, it's audio, whatever. So, firstly, before we start this review, thank you to White Dragon 11 for providing the new cards to me, and, well, Slify, you didn't really, I don't know, I'm just...
Thank you, White Dragon.
Thank you, White Dragon. And so anyway, right, so let's get straight into this review. We're going to be reviewing the cards that I weren't showed from the 2 weeks ago because of audio problems, and they were Qubik LD, Belgossi or Belgosi, I don't really know. It's people have been commenting about this, and I'm very unhappy that people have been commenting on how I save cards nowadays, and also Drake as well. So, firstly, Sniffy, let's go quickly through these reviews. So, Qubik LD, how do you find this card? Is it good, bad, or,
pretty average, not as good as Lucio and other Garrick, I think his name, can't remember. 6.5 to 7 out of 10.
Okay, fair enough. What about Belgossi or Belgosi, or whatever the hell you say it? I don't really know anymore. So, how do you find Belgosi?
Probably the most solid 4-star skulls you have. Nice solid 8 power, good ability, damage isn't terrible. Give it 8.5 out of 10.
And finally, Drake, how do you find him?
Kinda average, a lot better in the clad. Still not bad though, 7 out of 10.
Okay then, right, well, that was quite quick. But anyway, let's move on. So, let us go into the new cards that were released 2 days ago, and they were Numar, what's its name? I'm trying to look at all the banner now. It's Numar, Qubik, Aniki, and Wurmhol. So, firstly, let's go through, let's do the first review of Wurmhol. So, how do you find Wurmhol? What was your initial thoughts out of him?
My initial thoughts on Wurmhol were pretty positive, and the more I think about it, it's gone pretty negative now. But I still think Wurmhol's an okay card. 2 stars is always nice to have. 7 solid power is okay to have as well. Defeat, when you get it out, the poison 1 isn't terrible, because, 1, your opponent doesn't want to take the poison. It's a good psychological game. But 2, you can get some 2 KOs as like Warham and stuff like that after a while. There's 2 small problems with this card. 1, the poison isn't that big of a deal, because there's only poison 1. And generally, the min is actually not bad, but the poison isn't that effective for it to get a lot of 2 KOs by itself. And the second is, this card only has a damage of 1. And this card has a nice solid power of 7. So when this card does win, which isn't super hard for this card, you're not getting a lot out of it. So this card has to lose to be really effective.
Yeah. I have to say though, people have been commenting on this card, have been absolutely destroying this card. They've been saying this card is awful. It's, the worst card in the Geist and everything. Do you agree with them in that sense? Do you say it's a terrible card?
Worst or worst 2-star in the Geist?
Like, people have been saying it's like the Geist, they really didn't need this Geist card, really, I suppose, is what they're trying to say.
Well,
do you agree with them?
In my debate, Geist don't really need anything right now. My opinion, personally. But I don't think this is the worst 2-star Geist ever. I think Morhala is worse than, to be, sarcastic. But I can see if people use Wurmhol. I don't think he's that bad per se. I don't think he's that good. I still think he's better than Echo or whatever the robot's name is. But it's probably like the 3rd worst 2-star for sure, but not terrible in any sense.
Okay. What about, again, going back to Echo though, because she's the other defeat card, I suppose. I have to say, I have used Echo in Elo, and I still do like her for some reason. I don't know what it is. It's just that when your opponent loses that 1 pill, I find it a bit useful, I suppose. I don't know about you.
Maybe I haven't been using Echo correctly. I'm using Echo a lot as an obvious minus pill, I think, maybe. But Echo never really draws your opponents to use a lot of pills, and the -1 usually doesn't affect gameplay, in my opinion. I could be using her completely incorrectly, and I admit I probably might have. So.
I think the difference, though, between them, though, I have to say, is just because, the fact that Echo actually has the 3 damage, and Wurmhol only has 1, so that's important to mention if you get, like, a bad hand or whatever. You can still attack with Echo, and Wurmhol, I wouldn't say you can attack with him.
This is gonna sound crazy, but I think the cards would have been better if Echo was a 7-3, and Wurmhol was a 6-1. I know this sounds crazy, but Wurmhol has to lose. Its 7 power is pretty winnable.
I don't know, it's going to be still hard to win. You'll probably lose at least 90% of
If your
your match.
opponent is trying to lose, Wurmhol generally will always win, my opinion. But we'll have to see.
That's interesting. But I have to say that, I mean, he is useful though if, he's like another kind of little escape route, I suppose. 'Cause, I have to say the Geist aren't too great in the opening. I mean, they do have like Ralph or, let's see, who else do they have? They have Ralph, Drahira, I suppose, and Mono. Toro, who is kind of banned quite a lot in, ELO. So, I mean, they haven't really got much to open with. So, I don't know, in that sense, Wurmhole can actually be quite useful.
I agree. At the same time, though, one I don't really know for sure, but I don't think Geist is usually mono-clanned. Perhaps I'm wrong on this. But because they're not mono-hand, a lot of people can use a different clan to compensate for that. Another thing they can do is, their opening isn't terrible. It's not the greatest, I do admit, but they have pretty good openings. So this card isn't exactly needed, per se.
Okay.
I love how I like this card more than you, but I'm bashing it more.
Yeah, that's weird about this card, because when I did a review on it, I kind of liked it, but then at the same time, I needed to bash it so much, really. But anyway, so finally, rating out 10, what would you give Wurmhole?
I'm going to venture out for a 6 out of 10. And a lot of people can say maybe I'm rating it too high, but I don't think it's that bad of a card. I don't think it's that great of a card either, though.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I mean, 6 out of 10 is fair, I suppose. I mean, he or she, I'm not really sure. Is it a she? I think it is.
It is good.
She could be useful, but I'm still not too sure. I mean, 6 out of 10, I think is a fair rating.
Right, below average, but not terrible, per se.
Yeah. Okay, let's go into the second card of this week, and that was Aniki for the Montana. Aniki at 4 stars is a 6/6 with the ability of Revenge? -2 opponent's power, -5. I think that's right.
That is
it?
Correct, I believe.
Okay. So, firstly, what's your initial thoughts on it, Slivy?
My initial thoughts were, at first they were just blown away. I thought this card was going to be the greatest ever. And then I realized the minimum was 5 on this thing. And let me delve into this more before we start bashing this card. 6 damage is great, don't get me wrong. Montana usually have a problem with damage, and 6 is very nice to have. The fact that this ability is Revenge doesn't really hurt it that badly, cause the Montana have a lot of damage reduction and cards that are okay with losing. The main problem with this card is that its minimum is 5. -2 op power is amazing. If you think about it, damage reduction and power manipulation, no, not damage reduction, power manipulation and attack manipulation, when you combine the two, make an amazing card. Mona is exact proof that this happens. But generally, you'll want a smaller min than this. This card will only bring... You know what? I changed my mind, actually. I changed my mind. I like this card now. I changed my mind.
This is the first. This is the first on UR Talk. You're about to bash this card.
I was thinking about this a lot. And I like this card.
And then you went,
now.
Hold on a minute.
Wait a second.
You had an epiphany.
This card isn't that bad. This card isn't that bad.
Alright, okay, go on then, Slify. Why isn't this card that bad then?
I just lost my train of... Okay.
You're saying like, -5. It's actually quite bad. Hold on a minute.
Wait a second.
That's literally what you're about to say,
I just realized this card is okay, so the reason I disliked it before was because if your opponent has a card that is already weak, like let's say a Tula, that will already reduce it below its -5 and take out its ability or bonus that it's going to lose. And that's why I initially despised this card. But then I realized there's a lot of cards like that nowadays. Why would Aniki be any different? If you take out his ability, his bonus will still have a nice little pinch, and 6 power isn't that terrible per se. If you take out his bonus, -2, he will generally be the same or better in the fight, assuming your opponent has 7 power or less, and he ties with 8 power. If you get both out though, he's generally amazing, even if his bonus or his ability is not as good as Mona's. I don't think he like changes the game anyway. I don't think people will say Aniki's now like a 10 out of 10, but he's actually not as bad as I initially thought.
Okay, what about in terms of competition though? We do have the amazing Ed
That's true.
to compete with.
I don't think this card beats Ed at all. Ed SOB is great. 7 solid power is always nice. SOB plus the Montana bonuses just blows people away.
Yeah, at the same.
I do like Aniki a little bit more than Donnie though, personally.
I don't know about that actually because Donnie does have a little bit more damage. Although then again, he is revenge as well, so
Right.
maybe
it's a gamble you pay. The good thing about Donnie is that he goes through DRs pretty decently, and he has.
Well, not really. I mean, it's still only. I mean, most DRs will still reduce him down normally if he was like a 7
the
damage.
average DR will get him down to 2. That's the average DR. Maybe 3, but 2. And then another -2 up life, which your opponent cannot stop. Your opponent will generally take an average of 4. And against, like, Ulrich, that's not bad, in my opinion.
Okay.
However, Aniki has the higher % chance of beating cards from other clans. Aniki has a good chance of beating, for instance, Uluwatu. Aniki has a chance of beating Bangers. Aniki has a chance of beating Junks. Aniki has a chance of beating Sentinels. Not like a high chance. I don't think he's amazing still. But he still has a better chance than Donnie at beating those clans.
Yeah, okay. Alright, what about Grezio? Because, I did have to mention the old, 5-8 with,
A lot of people like Grezio, actually. I was quite surprised. I'm not fond of him at all. I think he's too weak.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I think our relationship is over, Slify.
Oh, did you like Grezio? I'm sorry.
I do. I
associated with you to begin with.
I don't know, for some reason, I like that giant monster for some reason. It just, I don't know. Whatever. What about DT though? Let's go into DT, because Montana are used in DT. Do you think Aniki has any place in your DT deck?
Aniki is beneficial in the fact that he can take out lower clans at low pill cost. He can take down, like, the Jungo, he can take down La Junta and stuff like that. Problem is, Aniki has a problem that a lot of Montana have, as in he's terrible against uppers. And if uppers still dominates the metagame, like I think they
Which they do.
he basically has no shot. There's no point of putting that 4-star in your deck.
Okay.
My opinion.
Would you instead put Ed instead or something like that?
Ed can beat a lot of the uppers, even if he loses to Jackie and stuff, but who doesn't? And, Ed has the more solid thing going toward him.
Okay then, that's fair. Alright, so let's finally end with a rating out of 10. So Slippy, what would you give Aniki out of 10?
I give him I don't know. I think he's an average card. I was gonna give him like a 6 out of 10 too, but I don't think he's that bad anymore. I think I'm gonna give him a 7 out of 10 to be safe. He might be worse, he might be better. I went from hating to thinking this card is okay, so I really can't have a proper judgment right now.
I have to say, the good thing about this card is he's actually a common, so for all those newbies who watch you or talk, you can get this card for fairly cheap, I would say. Maybe in the future.
In a few weeks.
In a few weeks, yeah. I would probably go the same there, maybe, about 7. I was thinking maybe you were going to go at 7.5 out of 10 for a minute there, but I don't know. Maybe that was just me.
He has the potential to be, he has the potential to be a Mona for 1 more star and 2 more damage. And Mona by itself is a great card. He's not that good because he's revenge based, and he's not that good because his min is higher. But he has the potential, and that by itself makes it a not bad card at all.
Okay. So anyway, let us go into the third release of this week, and that was Qubik's at 4 stars, and for the Junks, and his stats are 7.5 with the ability of SOA. So Sliffy, what is your initial thoughts on Qubik's?
I like Qubik's. It's a pretty good card. I like the fact that it has 7 power. 7 power is pretty nice. It's better than Rowdy, in my opinion, because of that. SOA is a good ability to have. 4 star, not bad. Not better than Gibson. It's really up to opinion's choice. And yeah, good card overall. Really no downfalls. Okay
then. So I mean, in terms of competition, would you use Qubik's over any of the other 4 stars though?
Kinda not really. I would probably use him over Rowdy, as I said before. Gibson's, it's really up to player preference.
Okay then. There's nothing really more to say about this card. Out of 10 really, how do you rate this card then in that case?
I give the card an 8 out of 10. It really has no downfall if you really think about it. The damage isn't as good as Rowdy's, but it has better power. SOA is a good ability. It's really up to player's choice. But yeah, 8 out of 10. He's really
Yeah.
solid card, no doubtful.
Although, you did say before though, I mean, the 5 damage is a little bit awkward though, would you say? Maybe.
Yes, the 5 damage is awkward because Junks usually isn't mono clan, at least to my knowledge. It's usually half clan, and a lot of cards in other clans don't do the proper 7 damage for the 2-hit KO. There's quite a few cards in Junks though. Haze does it, for instance. Pelloter does it, for instance. Fury, Tamam, whatever the hamster's name is. But really, if you he's probably not gonna shine outside of mono clan if you really want the 2-hit KO. He's gonna be still a solid card though.
Yeah, I have to say this card is going to be useful against things that are. I mean, like if there's weeks where there's a lot of. Okay, right. Let me start this again. If you're bad against damage reduction, this card really does shine over the other 2. But apart from that, I wouldn't use Gibson or Rowdy. I wouldn't not use them, I suppose, because they are still very strong cards in that sense.
I agree.
Yeah. Alright then, so let's go into the 4th review of this league, and that was Numar for the Uluwatu, and Numar at 4 stars is an 8/4 with the ability of +2 life. So, Slify, what is your initial thoughts on this card?
I think this card is pretty good in my initial thoughts. 10 solid power is good to have in general. There's not a lot of Uluwatu with 10 solid power, to my recollection at least. Yeah, and the fact that he has 8 power and then +2 means he can get hit by SOA. It's not a big deal. Forward damage is not terrible at all, especially with an ability of +2 life. Gives you about a 6 life gap, which you can't complain for a 4-star. He also can fight DR because of this, because +2 life against DR isn't a terrible thing. Uluwatu's main weakness before was DR, and he kind of combats that, so good card.
Okay then, in terms of competition, I mean, would you say he's the best at the moment for the Uluwatu in ELO terms?
Yeah, I think he's probably the best 4-star in ELO terms. He's better than Zac, in my opinion, because he's stronger. He's better than Shayna, because he's less obvious. He's better than Razor, for obvious reasons. He's better than Lucia, for obvious reasons. So yeah, probably the best. Yes, I forgot Buck, and Buck is a good card, 7 solid damage is nice, but he's a little too fragile. SOA, SOB kind of ruin him, stuff like that.
I mean, the only reason you should really use Buck is if you just want that bit more damage, I suppose, really. If you like Buck, that's good for you, really, but, I would only use him if you just wanted the damage, really.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of Survivor routes, because people have been raving about the fact that he can be used in Survivor, what about his Survivor options in terms of Type 2?
He has seems like a pretty good Survivor choice. It's really down to if you want. The best thing about him is that he can beat DR, in my opinion. He does something against Uranus. He does something against Grax. He does something against Spaghetti. I don't even know if he's used.
Oh, it's a Trin Mix, whatever his name is. Trin Rick Strux.
Right. That thing. Right, he does stuff against that, and most other Uluwatu will do 2 damage and waste a few pills. And this guy has that advantage. Whether he's worth the spot though is completely up to debate. He might be replaced instead of Wheelie. He might be used instead of Lullaby for all I know. I have no idea really.
Yeah, it's all up to players' preference, I suppose.
Right, but he has a spot there. I do agree.
I have to say, going back to the Wheelie comment though, do people, the only issue I have with Wheelie and using him in Survivor is just that his damage reduction really isn't that needed, really, I guess, really. It's nice to have, but it's just not, I hardly ever use it.
In my opinion, I don't play Survivor at all, so I'm not the expert on this in any case. But the good thing about Wheelie is you can overpill with Wheelie, and even if you lose that overpill, your opponent will lose pills, and you will take less damage. So your opponent doesn't set you up to a KO instantly, usually. But at the same time, yeah, I would probably only use Wheelie over our other guy. It's because he has 6 damage and can do a KO easily. More easily than Numar can.
Okay, and it's more easy, not more easily. It's a
easier.
bad.
Easier.
If we said more easily, that's bad grammar, I believe.
I believe I'll use easier next time. My bad. Okay. I'm speaking fast, not thinking as clearly as possible.
Okay. So finally, rating out of 10, what would you give Numar?
I would give Numar probably a 9 out of 10. Maybe probably worth higher, but right now I think 9 out of 10 is the safest. Probably the best 4-star. Really has no flaw at all, and I would use him in Elo for sure.
Yeah, I have to say, I agree with you there. He's very, 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 very strong. 4-star choice at the moment. Probably the best at the moment. Maybe can cause an Uluwatu bounce back into Elo, maybe. I have seen it being used recently, so maybe that's a new kind of, new thing for them. Anyway, so thank you all for watching, everyone. Make sure you comment below on all your thoughts and everything. Please tell your friends and everything, because the more the merrier, and that's my kind of saying on things.
I agree. That'd be cool.
Anyway, so I'll see you guys all later. Make sure you watch in 2 weeks' time when I put up the new things and everything, and I will see you guys later. This is Meepson12 and Slify,
The king of Slifs.
signing out.